Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ad America. For those of you new here, Ad America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, the place to learn more about American culture. Hello, everyone. My name is Aldi Rashid, and I will be your e-guide for today's event, Study in the USA with the Quad Fellowship. But before we begin, we have a question of the day for our online audience, and the question is, when was the Quad Fellowship first introduced? Is it A in 2020, B 2021, C 2022, or D 2023? If you think you know the answer, submit through our online platforms to get a special shout out at the very end of the event. And now, Sobat America, please let me introduce you to our moderator. She is Education USA advisor. Please welcome Kak Caroline Darmanto.
Right. Thank you, Aldi. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the first Education Wednesday events at An America. We were away for about a month or a little over a month, but now we're back. So thank you for joining us here at An America and online. So before we start, I want to introduce to you of what Education USA is. So if you haven't heard of Education USA, so we're an advising network under the U.S. Department of State, and we're available in over 170 countries. In fact, in Indonesia itself, we have a few centers. We have one in Aceh, one in Medan, two in Jakarta, one in Malang, one in Surabaya, one in Samarinda. That's the newest one. And we also have one in Makassar. So if you have any questions and if you want to talk about your study plans in the US, and if you don't know where to start in terms of like applying to the US universities, go ahead and make an appointment with us, with any of the advisors here. You don't have to meet us in person. You can also meet us virtually through Zoom or Gmeet. But just go to calendly.com/educationusa Indonesia, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. So, Education USA is we're basically here to help you out. So we're gonna help you from the very beginning, from researching your options to finding out what are the available scholarships for you, and we're gonna help you with your personal statement. We're gonna help you with your essays, CVs, and resumes. We're gonna give you information about visas, and last but not least, we're gonna help you with the pre-departure orientation as well. Now, speaking of what we're gonna talk about, or what we can help you with. Today we're gonna talk about the Quad Fellowship. So it's a good opportunity for you if you wanna, experience studying in the U.S. It's fully funded, and if you're excited about, or if you wanna know more about it, please help me welcome our speakers. We have Cici from IIE, and we also have Alief, a current student at Harvard University. So Cici, hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me today.
Okay,
Great.
Cici. So you can start the presentation, and then we're gonna do the discussions later after your presentation. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Okay, good to see everyone. Yeah, this is the Quad Fellowship, and my name is Cici Supanwattanachai from the Institute of International Education, or IIE. I will give you some overview about the Quad Fellowship program, and today you will get to talk to our Quad Fellows, and we will get a lot of tips from him as well. So the Quad Fellowship is a fellowship program sponsoring exceptional master and PhD students to study in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or the STEM, in the United States. So the fellowship develops as a network of science and technology experts committed to advancing innovation and collaboration in the private and public sector, as well as the academic sector in their own nations, among the Quad countries and also Indo-Pacific regions, by providing scholarships, the inspiring events and programming, and also mentorship and career advancing program, and also the cross-cultural exchange opportunities. Oh. Yeah, so just a brief background about the program. So it was announced in 2021. The Quad Fellowship is the initiative of the government of the Quad countries, Australia, India, Japan, and the United States. So this is the first of its kind scholarship program designed to build ties among the next generation of scientists and technologists to advance practical cooperation and to help strengthen the exchange of innovation and ideas between the Quad countries. So in 2023, we had the first cohort of our Quad Fellows, and last year, 2024, we have the Quad Fellowship announced the expansion in the second cohort to support the students from Southeast Asian countries as well. So this is to further demonstrate the Quad country commitment to the Indo-Pacific region. Yeah, and currently, right now, we accepting the application for the third cohort for the academic year of 2025 and 26. Right now, we have total of 148 Quad Fellows come from 12 different countries, and they are pursuing the master and PhD program in the institution across the United States in 18 different fields of STEM and over 100 area of specialization. Yeah, so they can go, if you apply to the Quad Fellowship, you can choose to go to any university in the state. Yeah, so what makes the Quad Fellow unique? This is the first multinational scholarship and educational fellowship program, especially supporting the student in the STEM. So it offers a unique benefit, not only the financial support for academic and research, but also provide opportunity for STEM programming and cross-cultural exchange, and also networking with the leader and expert in the STEM field. And by having this, like you will meet people from different countries among the Quad country and people from different STEM field, and that will create the further like the project that you can do. And also the fellowship award can be used in combination with the other grants and other scholarship awards as well. So this will enable fellows to maximize the support to your education in the eligible STEM field. Here is the attribute of the Quad Fellow. So if you want to know like how can I be successful in applying, so this what will be one of the like key criteria that we are look for in a Quad Fellow. So the applicants should demonstrate the academic excellence and have passion for the intersection of the STEM and the social impact. And it's meaning how can you use the STEM or the research that you study to make a positive change in the world. And also the curiosity and compassion, sense of initiative, and also creative and of the innovation. So in this area, I think Alief can explain a little more because he is a Quad Fellow. And also in these qualities, we have the detail of each qualities on our website as well. So you can visit our website to read more in detail on that. Yeah, and for the Quad Fellowship programming, so during the year, the fellows will have opportunity to engage with engaging programming. Usually is online because fellows come from different state and different university across the U.S., right? So the programming will be online, and you will attend a lot of workshops and symposium that you can exchange a lot of idea with the Quad Fellows. And beyond the years, fellow will continue to have access to the programming opportunities, and also will have the connect with the like on the Quad Fellowship network across all the cohort as well. So here, let me talk about a little bit on the eligibility. So if you have the applicant need to have the citizenship of the Quad countries or the 10 Southeast Asian countries. So welcome all Indonesian students to apply. And you need to have a completed degree, bachelor degree in the STEM field or equivalent. And you have to plan to pursue or apply to the US US-based university in the eligible STEM field. So we have 17 STEM field that I can show you in the next page. Yeah, and this is support for your graduate study. So you have to study the master or the PhD program. And it doesn't have to be the first year. You can be in the second year of your PhD program or the third year as well. And you have to study full time for the whole academic year of 2025 and 26, and which mean that you have to start the program in August 2025. Somebody might ask, like, can I start in fall 2026? So this is to be eligible, you have to be study the full year program to get the to be eligible for the Quad Fellowship. So here is the eligible STEM field, and some university might name their program differently. So you can, if you think that your area is STEM and you interested to apply for the Quad Fellowship, you can go on our website, and we will have all these fields listed, and there will be a sub like area of specialization. So there will be hundreds of them. So you can choose and identify whether your area like listed or not. So that is the way to identify whether it's eligible or not. And clinical healthcare degree program such as the doctorate of medicine or nursing are not eligible for funding, and also the business degree such as the Master of Business Administration or the business analytics also not eligible. So this is only for the STEM field. And just quickly on the application process. So there are three components of the application and selection process. There will be online application that you will go in on the portal. You can go on the website of the Quad Fellowship and fill out all these information, prepare the statement of purpose, and we have two essays that you can explain more a little bit about yourself, how your like program or your study will make the social impact or make a positive change. And also we require to submit the 3 recommendation letter. 2 letter come from the academic reference and 1 come from the professional contacts. Or you can have 3 academic reference as well, and the resume. And also if you never study in the like US before or haven't studied in the US like secondary institution for at least 2 years, you will have to submit the TOEFL or IELTS English test on the application as well. But if you are already like study in the US for a while, for 2 years, for at least 2 years, you can get this part waived as well. And the second part will be the expert review. So this part is designed to assess your the applicant's proficiency in the STEM field, and also the final round panel interview is designed to assess the passion for the intersection of the STEM and the social impact. So this to identify the candidate who have demonstrated the integrity and curiosity, compassion for the world around them. And just keep in mind that we already accept the application right now. The deadline is on March the 3rd, and it will close at the midnight by the Eastern time, the US time. So just make sure that you submit the application, like have enough time to submit the application, and also enough time for your your academic reference to submit their letter to the portal as well. And one more thing, your application will be reviewed by expert in your field and non-academic. So make sure that your application is digestible by both audience. And yeah, Quad Fellowship is not just a 1-year fellowship or scholarship experience, but it's just a fellowship that builds lifelong connection and a network of fellows with the same passions, the same value, the same goals, using the STEM for social goods. So I hope that today you will get the opportunity to hear directly from Alief, and then you will be encouraged to apply. Last page on this one, you can screenshot this page and use this QR code to start your application today. And if you have any questions, you can direct your question to quadfellowshipinfo@iie.org. Just back to you, Caroline. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cece. I do have a few questions for you, but I think I'm going to save it for later for our discussion. Um, is Alief here? Hi, Alief.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hello.
it's good to see you. And it's your first time here talking at America, right? So thank you for your time. I think before we start the discussion, if do you mind, telling us a little more about the processes that you had to go through before you become a quad fellow, and then maybe a little bit of your background, what you do now, or maybe
Yeah.
what you did before now, and all that. So do you mind?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, go
I
ahead.
think like for what I do and like what I did before, I think it's gonna be on my presentation anyway. So I think I'm gonna say that later. But in terms of like quad fellowship application, my experience was that, like I kind of like looked through like any kind of fellowships that I was still eligible for. I was in my fifth year, so of PhD, so I was like almost close to be done. But at the same time, like I wanted to like to do something that is more related to policy and diplomacy as well. So Quad Fellowship was just a good fit, and then I submitted my application. It was not very long or anything. It was like quite, it was quite reasonable in terms of like a fellowship application, and basically focus on mostly, like how my study really relates to social good, basically. And uh, after submitting my application, and I get a news that I had like I was invited for an interview, and during the interview, I get to meet with two people, talk to two people. One of them was, I think, um, working for an Indian embassy at the U.S., and the other one was the CEO of IIE itself. So yeah, I get to talk to people who are not in the field, and it was quite a good experience to kind of just like try to talk about science, not to like scientists in my field. And after that, yeah, I got the fellowship, and I got the news like probably like 2 weeks after. So it was quite fast turnaround. And yeah, and then become a fellow and go to all of the programming. Yeah. So it's been fun. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Wait, did you mention you have a presentation for today?
Yeah, I said I have presentation, but yeah.
Okay. Um, I think we haven't received your presentation, but
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Tim, is it okay if we do a presentation and he shares his screen? Will that be okay? Yeah? Okay. Alif, I think you can start the presentation once. I think do you have the co-host right now? Access?
Um, I yeah, I'm allowed to share my
All
screen
right, cool.
actually.
Okay, so you can start your
Yeah.
presentation.
Do you guys see my screen right now? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Like cool. Okay, so yeah, I'm Alief, and I just like want to share a bit about my experience, like, um, and just like to give a background and a context of where I'm coming from and what I do now in the U.S. as well. Yeah, so a little bit background. I'm from West Sumatra in Solok. It's a town of 60,000 people, and it's like here basically on the map. Um, but I went mostly to public schools. I went to SD Negeri, SMP Negeri, but I was pretty much involved in OSN Matematika, which means that I did a lot of math competitions. And because of that, I got a scholarship to go to West Java for my high school. It was in Bandung. I went to SMA Pribadi Bandung. Um, but my formative experience was basically going to the science fairs and like going to the US for um, science fairs basically, and like going to NASA and all of that. And that really like opened up my mind and like kind of like opened my eyes and just like, like there's like this whole world where like people do science and like sounds like very cool to me at that time. So I decided to instead apply for universities in the US, I took a gap year, like basically to prepare myself for US application. And I also kind of like tried really hard to basically learn English because I didn't really have like a good English background beforehand. So yeah, during that gap year, I really like tried like everything and applied to mostly American liberal arts colleges where they give like 4-year degrees without master's or PhD students. So it was like, like I really wanted to try that experience just surrounded by um, different kind of people and taking different kind of classes. And I decided to go to Minnesota at Carleton College. Um, and yeah, I just was involved in a lot of like different kind of stuff when I was at Carleton, which I think was probably more important than my academic stuff. I did badminton. I did a lot of modern dance, like learned a lot of ballet and contemporary dance, like when I was there. And I was also like in like, very core international friends group. My best friends were like from France and from Nepal. I lived with them throughout my 3 years, I mean, my 4 years of college. So it was like quite a very good experience for me to be with like, in this very small school. It was only like a college of 2,000 people in the middle of Minnesota in winter, and it's so cold. So you just got to talk to your friends and like about everything from like life to like a lot of like academic conversations too, which were really, really, fun for me. But I think what I wanted to highlight is that, like throughout all of that, I had also like a lot of like I had a lot of research experience. I had quantum chemistry, computational biology, and molecular evolution experience. And that was because I went to liberal arts college. So I got to try a lot of stuff basically. And I ended up not liking any of them. So, which means that, like, but throughout my second or third year, I realized that I just wanted to like a combination of the two fields of biology and math. So I decided to study biology and math like pretty late in my undergrad career actually, and I did research on bioinformatics, but my research topic was on deep sea hydrothermal vent microbes. So these are like vents deep underground, I mean underwater in the ocean that speeds out a lot of like rich, mineral rich liquids that the microbes would feed on. But like, doesn't matter. But my research was basically just the bioinformatics part, so I didn't really go into the ocean and did all the fun stuff. But I think like that's what the got me into PhD program because this undergrad research like really did culminate in like some form of like paper at that time, and that was I think that was very helpful in order to like apply for US PhD in general. I did see that like I have like some I have a slide here about the US PhD applications in general, but what I wanted to say from here is just that I applied directly from bachelor's into a PhD program because I did have like this quite a lot of research throughout my undergrad. However, yeah, and I also had like multiple mentors throughout my undergrad too. One of them was also Indonesian, Rika Anderson, who was in my college. And yeah, like having all of this recommendation letters from different people in different fields and having like a quite like strong research statement was probably what helped me to get into a PhD program in the US. And yeah, I end up at Harvard in the organismic and evolutionary biology program, thinking that I wanted to do evolutionary biology at first. And I joined directly the Desai lab, Michael Desai, who is a physicist. So my lab is on physics and evolution. And yeah, so it's like a weird combination, but the basic thing is that we study evolutionary biology from, this using this physics as a language. And this is just a picture of the lab. I'm right here, but we're quite fun as a lab. We hang out a lot and do a lot of fun stuff. But yeah, it's been like also very, very nice to work with like the kind of people who come from very different backgrounds. I'm not a physicist, but like a lot of people in the lab were physicists. So like to learn like a new language basically in science and also try new stuff and really just like, hone in like all the skills that I need to have in order to be a scientist. But yeah, actually, I ended up studying evolution of viruses and antibodies. And this is how I think it connects with the quad itself, because throughout this studying these two things, I realized that my study really connects to public policy and diplomacy, especially like after we lived through the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, then like this connection seemed to be more and more apparent. But less, what I wanted to share about like the lab itself is that, or like an experience that my day to day is basically just about large scale experiments. We did a lot of experiments, a lot of planning, with some treat from the office window view that overlooks Boston. So it's a very nice like office to be in the lab, and other things that I did basically like troubleshoot all the failures and take a lot of walks. So a lot of work basically revolves around thinking, and I find it to be best for me to just like walk when I think. I like to go to a museum of natural history or museum of fine arts because I just like arts. But other than that, the result of like this kind of stuff is mostly papers. So that's what I've been working on for the past 6 years of my PhD, basically to kind of like think about a question and then turn it into a project and turn that project into papers. Yeah. And then lastly, I just want to share a little bit about what experience. So yeah, as I say, my research really ties with public health, policy and diplomacy. And I've been like having like, I think since my first year, I had a strong interest in learning how science can shape policy and diplomacy. But at the same time, I also knew that like the diplomacy and policy itself also impacts science. And I had this curiosity in me that like, how can I use the basic skill in science uh, for something that is good? And I just, and I had the question, how can I inform policy? And how can I also build like some infectious disease models that actually include policy in it? And throughout the Quad Fellowship, when I got the fellowship and I joined the programming and went to the summit in DC this September, I get to learn a lot from the experts from just like that very short period of time already. We got to talk to many people in different parts of the State Department, and we also get to talk to some speakers in the White House part that like specifically deals with science and technology. So just like to hear from them about what their experience is like and the frustration that comes with that experience and so on was really helpful to think about, like policy itself, but also my career in the future. But most importantly, I also got to meet and like talk to different fellows who like work on very, very different things, but just come together for like the same common goal, like to make social good, basically, or like social impact through our research. And lastly, most importantly, I think, is that like it's also been an opportunity for me to formally and informally collaborate with people. There have been a lot of like meetups and like WhatsApp subgroups that come that that is like a result of this Quad Fellowship. And I know like some people are doing projects together, and some people like have like some more informal study sessions together, like to talk about like things that we care about. And yeah, um, that's all I have. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Alief. That's very helpful. So I have questions for both of you, but I'm gonna start with CC first. CC, so since the very beginning, the first fellowship program, how many Indonesian students have you had so far in total?
Uh, you mean the applicants?
The one that has been accepted.
Only Alief
Oh,
because
really?
it's just open last year. Um,
Okay.
and last year was the second cohort that they expand the exception to the to cover the student from Southeast Asia.
Mm.
So um, we have the best um, Alief, the first one from Indonesia, and
Okay.
I hope that we will have more Indonesian applicants this year.
Okay, Alice, so you're the pioneer for this program for Indonesians. So I hope more people will apply, right, Cici? Because you're looking for more Indonesian students, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, all right. So I guess as a follow up, but were there lots of applicants last year during Alif's batch from
Um,
Indonesia, to be more specific?
yeah, we have many applications, but I think because it's just new,
Mm-hmm.
so compared to the other country, other quad country, it's still, I mean, in terms of the number of the applicants, it's
Right.
not that competitive, right? Because it's just like low number of us Asian students who apply.
All right.
Mm. So I think just take the opportunity when people don't really know about it and just submit the application because it's less competitive.
Right, right. So it's a good opportunity. It's a good chance for everyone who wants
Right.
to apply. Okay, okay. All right. So the next one would be how how do you select your students? Right? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure even though there weren't that that many from Indonesia, but I'm sure there are a lot of applicants. How exactly do you select the students? What are the typical students that you look for?
As mentioned during the slide, so we have the attribute of the quad fellows. Those are the area that we look for in quad fellows.
Mm-hmm.
So not only the academic excellence, but they need to have the care for the social, like the community around them as well. So how they're going to use their study or their program or their project to make the positive good or the make the social like change or something like that. So those are really important piece and why like because many scholarship program they can give and provide sponsor like financial sponsorship, right? And they can pursue different study. But for the quad fellowship, we really want to make sure that the student use their study and really make the social change. Mm.
Okay, all right. Okay, so my next question would be for Alif. Okay, Alif. So, um, it's been, I guess, half a year that you're into the quad fellowship, is it? Right? Yeah. How has it changed your perspective, or maybe your experience while studying in the U.S.? Because I know you've experienced many years before, but how has it changed specifically through
Yeah.
quad fellowship?
Yeah, I think I don't know, like since the fellowship, I've definitely got more um grounded in terms of like what like in terms of what I want to do in the future as well because like there's like I think at Harvard there's a lot of like this very competitive nature of research and there's a lot of like wanting to like publish as many papers as possible and like as many good papers as possible. But I think the quad fellowship like really kind of like dials me back in and to be like to think about what can I actually do with my research outside of the ivory tower of academia, I suppose. But also it changed my experience in terms of like just thinking about science in general, um, and like thinking about like topics that I have not thought about before. I like in the summit, especially I had to, I had a lot of like conversations with different people, and I especially enjoy like conversations surrounding indigenous rights, or like First People rights also in Australia, and talking about how not only that, you know, we should help more indigenous people in terms of like either receiving science education or also, benefiting from the sciences that we do, especially in infectious diseases. But at the same time, also kind of like, trying to extract or like not extracting. That sounds like a bad word, but, trying to learn from indigenous people about the sciences or like, the knowledge that they also have that might to some extent like, contribute to sciences itself as an institution. So there have been like a lot of conversations like that, but at the same time, it also kind of just like gives me some hope to think about the future, like meeting all of this like cool people who would be the leaders of science in the future. Yeah.
So basically, your PhD program and the Quad Fellowship program, they kind of complement each other, right? They complete each other, I
Hmm.
would say. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think
That's
so.
okay. That's good to hear. All right. So we have a few audience here. Just wondering if anyone has any question for Cece or Alif. All right. Great. Go ahead. So please stand up and introduce yourself first.
Hi everyone, my name is Tisa. I have a couple questions for Cece actually. So the first one is, I wanted to know whether Fulbright scholars are also eligible to apply for Quad, given that this program is also by IIE. And the second one is, I wanted to know whether I would be eligible for this fellowship because my upcoming master's program is actually public policy at Carnegie. It is a STEM designated program, but it is not listed in the list of STEM programs that you showed earlier. So yeah, those two. Thanks.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for your question, Lisa. Um, to your first question, yes, Fulbright scholar can apply for the Quad Fellowship as well. As mentioned, the Quad Fellowship can use in combination with other scholarship program as well. And in the Quad Fellows, I think like the whole Quad Fellows, we do have a few Fulbright scholar as well that also acquire the Quad Fellowships, and also for the STEM field that you study, you can go to the website. I mean the application, and there will be a list of like tons of the area of specialization that you can see the closest field to your study, as long as it's STEM, so you can choose the closest one. But I cannot tell exactly whether it's eligible or not because there's a lot of that list on the website. So just to be sure, just go on the application portal and then you can find it there. Thank you. I hope it's answer your questions.
Any more question? Follow up question on that? No. All right. Okay. So Cici, I just noticed that in the presentation you said that as long as the student has a bachelor's degree by August 2025, right? Then they can apply for the fellowship. So let's say I'm a bachelor's degree student and this is my last semester. So I can apply for the program during my last semester of college. Is that true?
It's meaning that because if you are final senior year,
Mhm.
you want to continue your graduate degree in the US, you probably have to start your application, apply for the school in the US right now, right?
Right.
So to be able to start your program,
Mm-hmm.
whether master or the PhD in the fall semester, which is August
Mm-hmm.
2025. So basically, you will have to graduate before that.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
But graduate in the from the program and the graduation day is maybe different things. So
Yeah.
maybe you finish all your course and you have all your grade done, like transcript is already done, and yeah, maybe just some graduation day come later, so that will not be matter as long as that you complete your degree just
Okay.
before
Okay.
before
Okay.
the next program start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So my next question is for Alif. So you mentioned that you had an opportunity to go to DC for a summit or a forum, right? How
Mhm.
often does that happen during the program?
Yeah, so I think for the summit or like for kind of like an offline meetup, formally I think that was the only one that we do in the Quad Fellowship, but there have also been a bunch of online workshops. Especially this spring, we have a lot of like programming that cover anything from, grant workshop. Basically, we learned how to write grants, and um, this upcoming program is going to be about science diplomacy and policy careers. So there are a lot of like this programming that happens mostly online, but informally, through Quad as well, we have this kind of like our own social network or media basically that we install on our phones. Is called Quad Connect, where we basically got to, like if we have like something to say about new policy, or if we have like, some ideas like to get into like a new policy related project, then we can share about it on the Quad Connect, and like there will be people who would jump in. And on top of that, like we do have more informal meetups. Outside of the the fellowship like program. So for people who are in Boston, there are a lot of us in Boston actually. There are about 10 of us in Boston. We did meet up once, but I know like some people who are at Stanford, for example, they meet up way more often. But yeah, it's kind of like depends in terms of like the informal stuff, but the formal stuff like that was probably just once. Yeah, for
Alright.
the physical meetup. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, any more questions from the audience here? Anyone? Not yet? All right. Okay, so I guess the next one is for Alif as well. Alif, so with with the network that you have right now through the program, the fellowship program, what are your hopes or your goals in the future through this?
Yeah. So I I think, well, yeah. I'm in my last year of PhD right now, so I'm going to graduate like in May or June this year. So just as I graduate from the Quad Fellowship, I will also graduate from my PhD program, which is exciting. But yeah, I'm planning to do a postdoc after, like a postdoctoral fellowship in Europe, still studying, something related to immunology or virology, and hopefully in the next few years, I will open up my own lab and work as a principal investigator, professor, basically. But what the Quad Fellowship really, you know, helps or like comes in here is that like I know that I want to like use this network later, like to kind of not only work on the science itself, but also somehow like try my hands on the policy and like diplomacy side of things. Um, in what form, I don't know yet, but yeah, I think like this is like something that I will have like to figure out like during my postdoctoral stage, and also as I apply basically for faculty or academic positions in the future. Yeah.
Okay, that's very great. Any plans on coming back to Indonesia at all?
I actually do want to like come back in like some capacity. I'm not sure about at how or like when like basically, but I'm definitely like wanting to continue my education first, like to see like to have more training for my science, and I really want to like to I wouldn't say contribute, but like I really wanted to just like really have this curiosity of like what I can do basically in Indonesia. And it's not just on STEM or like the higher education
Mm-hmm.
part, but also like thinking about policy and like how the diplomatic networks like works and all of that kind of fun stuff basically. But I don't know how how it works yet. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, any question from the audience here? All right. Go ahead. a microphone, please?
Hi, it's me again, Tisa. My question is, this one is for Mas Alief. Nice to meet you beforehand. But I'm curious about how what you're doing is actually, contributing to social good. As in, is it only through like, the research that you publish, or do you actually have other side projects or future plans that you plan to do using the support of Quad Fellowship? Thank you.
Yeah, so I think like when I came into the Quad Fellowship, I didn't really have much of like connection between what I was doing in terms of research and my other things that I care about in terms of like social good. Um, those two things were pretty much separate for me, like in terms of like coming into the Quad Fellowship itself. So I did a lot of like infectious disease and virology research, meaning that I tried to build models of like predicting what kind of virus that would win, and basically like what kind of strain that we might like see in the future, especially in terms of like SARS-CoV-2, using like this big high throughput measurements that we do in the lab. So I guess like to some extent, like informing the public like through publications or conferences is part of that. However, I would also say that like before coming in, I also had a lot of like volunteering experience that is probably not related to my research per se, but I did like have some experience of like doing. I helped organize like the neighborhood aid or like community aid here during the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, and that actually started my my switch basically from doing evolutionary biology to infectious disease research. But because there was the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, and like it was like easier to access the lab, like if you study SARS-CoV-2 basically. But yeah, I had like that kind of volunteering stuff, but at the same time, I also was a counselor for this for youth who are prone to suicidal ideation and mental health problems, and I was also pretty involved with like Indonesia and Global like programming in terms of like mentorship and all of that. So, but like coming like now that I'm in the fellowship, I kind of like start to think about how those two worlds like actually can merge together, or like can like kind of like can like actually become like something that I can do as one instead of like two separate things. But yeah.
All right. Thank you, Alief. So if we have no more question, this is for both of you, Alief and Cici. I guess we'll start with Cici first. Any advice for students who want to apply for the fellowship?
Before going to the advice piece, I would like to just clarify more on the Quad Fellowship stipend. So the program will provide one-time stipend, and for the cohort 3 student, the fellow will get $20,000, and that will be used for their academic or research, or if they join conference, they can use that as well. So that will be the amount that they will get for the fellowship year. And some questions asked like, can they apply for the Quad Fellowship again, like become a fellow already, and then apply for the funding for the second year? So once they become the fellow, they're already the fellow, and then that will be only one time that they will get the financial support. So that's piece I want to clarify. And for the advice, I think this is really a great opportunity and a lot of experience that Alice shared, something that you might never thought before, and you get this like connections and meet a lot of people and like create a stronger network that will be very useful and valuable, not only for your career, but the project that you do will really make change for the social impact. So I think this doesn't cost you anything. Just take some time and write the application and write up the essay and submit the application. It doesn't cost. So I hope that all the information that you hear from us today, you can get some tips and tools that will be used to prepare your application. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Cici. Okay, Alief. So, any advice for students who want to apply for the fellowship?
Yeah, I think just try it out. But like I think like the most important thing is probably really like to think about how your research or like what your interests fit into the social good framework, and like to think about like how you can actually use science in terms of policy and diplomacy, as I already mentioned multiple times. But I think yeah, and I don't know like I spend quite a lot of time to think about that, because like probably before the application that wasn't really like quite in my radar. But as I like think through, as I thought was thinking through, then I realized, oh wow, like what I was doing actually really connected to like public health in general. So I think like really sitting down and like to think about what you're interested in and what you want to do is quite important, because they do think like I did get questions on my science itself, like when I interviewed, and I did get questions about how like the policy side of my science work during my interview. So it's quite important to like to internalize or like know all of these things beforehand. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Alief. I really appreciate both of your time. Thank you so much, Cici. Thank you so much, Alief. Cici, it's good to see you again. So I hope to see you again very soon. And Alief, good luck with your studies. Good luck with everything. And we hope to talk to you again soon. And I'm going to have the floor back to Aldi.
Thank you very much to our wonderful moderator and speakers for such an insightful session today. And so, about America, earlier in this event, we asked you a question of the day. And the question was, when was the Quad Fellowship first introduced? And the correct answer to that is B, in 2021. Congratulations to @fire_Bianca from Instagram for getting the answer correctly. And so, about America, for more information about Ad America, you can follow our social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube at AT America. That marks the end of our event for tonight. My name is Aldi with the entire Ad America team saying thank you and see you at the next Ad America event. Bye, everyone.